Welcome back to the Faithful Assessments, the podcast where you can join me, Faith, for a review of all of your favorite books. On today's podcast, we will be talking about This Is My America by Kim Johnson.
Before proceeding with this podcast episode, please be aware that this episode contains spoilers of This Is My America by Kim Johnson. If you have read This Is My America, please disregard this message. But if you haven't, viewer discretion is advised.
This Is My America takes us along Tracy Beaumont's life as she works to inform people about their rights and how to protect themselves, as well as to clear her father's name and take him off the death penalty and get him home as a free man.
The novel provides readers with a mystery as Tracy works to prove her father's innocence and later the innocence of her brother Jamal as well. The novel also takes us along a love triangle between Tracy and her two love interests, Dean and Quincy.
Now let's talk about the author. Kim Johnson is an award-winning novelist who mentors Black students leaders. This Is My America is actually Kim Johnson's debut novel, and Johnson worked in several social justice organizations and continues to do this work today. Before I started the book, even before I purchased the book, just hearing the title, This Is My America, I assumed that this was a book just about what being in America means for one person. Of course, I thought this was definitely going to handle unjust situations. And once I actually started reading the book, that assumption wasn't exactly debunked. But after I started actually reading the book, maybe about halfway through, I really realized that it was more than just a social justice plot. Not only was it a social justice plot, but it was also a social justice plot with resources and tools to help people navigate how to deal with unjust and unfair situations in the world. But not only that, it was also a love story between what could be a love triangle and also a family that was torn apart. But that's just some of the things that just made This Is My America a great read.
Two of my favorite genres of books and what I classify as good reads, are most often mysteries and love stories. So for This Is My America to be a story that has such an impactful topic and an impactful meaning, but also merge a mystery and a love story into one, I really thought it was a great read. I'm not sure how, and viewers of this podcast, please tell me some of your favorite genres of books and if you would like me to do more reviews on other books. But I do think that is something that makes This Is My America a great book to me. And also, I would love to hear y'all's feedback on that and your thoughts. And if you have read it, please tell me about it. Or if you decide to read it after this podcast episode, please let me know. And please let me know what you thought about it. But I do want to give my full assessment, as this is the Faithful Assessments podcast, in saying that this book and novel is not only just a mystery, it's not only just a love story, and it's not only just a social justice plot or awareness book. It's all rolled into one. That's something I think that's great. I don't really find it that often in books, but I love when it's going to be one book that has all of it. Sometimes we read mysteries that are very unrealistic to life, and sometimes there's some that most definitely are. And both could be good. I'm not debunking any books that just really take you to the fantasy world. Same as love stories. Some romantic books and novels that follow the romantic genre are all about the fantasy and the world of fantasy, which is great. And I'm not debunking it whatsoever, because sometimes I like to just have those books where you can just really almost escape reality. When you stop in your book nook or corner, or if you're reading in the car, don't read and drive. If you are just sitting down anywhere when you have the time, especially when you have a busy schedule. School is now back in session, so it can be very hectic. You may have a lot of reading that is pertaining to lessons and is realistic, so articles or history lessons or specific books that you may have to read in English class, which a lot of those for me end up being good. And I'm also an avid reader. I would also like to hear y'all's feedback on reading. So I know that I have friends who are not avid readers, but there's specific series that they really enjoy, and I have friends who are avid readers. And then there are also a bunch of people, and as I've talked to over time, and even myself, what I realized is I still classify myself as an avid reader because I love to read and I'm constantly getting books. However, my reading schedule has completely changed over time. There used to be a time where I could just get a book, read it, and that was it. Now I can get a book and read it. However, I also have, if I do that, I'm missing out on time to work on my assignments, or time to do my extracurriculars, or time where I have to write an essay, which is also an assignment, or doing anything else outside of it. So it's sometimes just sitting down and reading a book can be difficult. Or if it's too heavy of a book, I don't want to say heavy of a book, but basically anything that's not. So sometimes, like, I've just started a book, I'm like, I need a book that's very lighthearted, which, not saying that This Is My America isn't, but I do like how it's an in-between. It has the reality, it makes people aware, it brings up issues, and it puts light to several issues that are going on in our community, but it also has that lightheartedness to it where you can also, and I like those. But recently I just received a book, and let me know if y'all would like me to do a faithful assessment on it. I could do another episode on books that I read, or I can do episodes where I combine and just talk about a few books, actually. Also, at the end of this, you can let me know if you would like longer podcasts or shorter podcast episodes. But today I'm really just talking about This Is My America. But I do want to give this background information into reading. I think it really blends everything together. I think a lot of times when we're doing a review of just one book, I think it's good to also compare. You're comparing in your mind anyway between other books you've read, but I do want to give just the background information. Like the other day, I wanted to start the book, but I knew that I also have and had and still have and continuously more work to do. So it's hard to sometimes just stop and read, because most of the time, like, even the time when I may want to split in the vehicle while I'm just writing, sometimes I'm like, well, I'm going to get to my phone and complete this assignment, or I just really need a break, so I just listen to music and just look out the window because you need that break. So sometimes it's difficult to just have time to just read, and that's also why I was like, I just need a completely lighthearted book that's just all in the world of fantasy, so that it's almost like a getaway, which I think all books are a getaway anyway. Even This Is My America, that when even the parts aside from the love story and the mystery, the social justice elements, and the mentions of the mass incarcerations and the unjust systems that we are in and that Tracy's living in, specifically in 21st century American South, but it also has a really good balance. So that's all I'm basically saying. All along, it's a good balance. And that is one of the things that I love about This Is My America.
This Is My America focuses on key elements like mass incarceration and the amount of people on death row, and more specifically, these people being mostly men and men of color. Kim Johnson created a great read that highlights racial injustices and the effects and injustices these injustices have on both the people incarcerated and their families.
Now it's time for the Assessment Challenge. The Assessment Challenge is a game associated with the Faithful Assessment where two viewers can go head-to-head for a trivia of the book of the day. So, call into Faithful Assessments using the link in bio, and the first two to call in will get to play the Assessment Challenge. The two callers selected have been Gregory and Grace. Woohoo! So, thank you for calling into Faithful Assessment. So, Gregory and Grace, are y'all up for the challenge?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, we ready.
Okay, so the Assessment Challenge will be a series of questions about the book. I will first ask the question, and whoever rings in first, I will call your name so that you can be alerted that you were the first one to ring, and then you will answer the question. If you get it right, you get the point. If you get it wrong, it's automatically, the other person has the option to steal. So, shall we begin?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Great. Alrighty. So first, what was the name of Tracy's podcast? Grace. And you have 10 seconds to answer.
What is Tracy's Corner?
Great. The answer was Tracy's Corner. Point goes to Grace. Question 2. What social justice class did Tracy offer? I think my system is saying that Gregory rang in first. Who is this?
Greg. You can call me G-Man.
Gregory, you're already in the show. Okay. Well, the question is, what social class did Tracy offer?
Know Your Rights workshops.
Correct, Gregory.
Yeah.
Next question. Which two characters were Tracy smitten by, creating her version of a love triangle? I think the system says Grace.
Dean and Quincy.
Correct, Dean and Quincy. Question 4. What group did Tracy contact regarding her father and brother? Oh, the system is having a little trouble here. I think it is Gregory.
The Innocent X Project.
Correct, the Innocence X Project. And our last question, what is revealed about Dean's mother? Grace. Grace.
Dean's mother. She was a part of the slavery people. The KKK. Dean's mother was raised by
5.
Dean's mother was raised by for justice people and attended lynchings as a little girl and was prohibited from giving any detail about that.
Okay, correct. Long story short, Dean's mother was revealed to have been raised by prejudiced people and even attended lynchings, which is terrible. And so, therefore, I just have a bonus question. Let's see who can get it. It's up for Grace and Gregory, people. Okay. What was Angela investigating? Gregory.
What?
Angela was investigating where I think her boyfriend's name was Chris, where he was having these little get-togethers, these little, what's the word? Really, I guess they're very strange because they're very strange get-togethers by the little deep thing, by the little dump. And they were drinking a lot of beers and talking about real racist stuff, and yeah.
Okay. My systems are saying that we can accept that answer. And therefore, since you were able to get the bonus question, the winner of this assessment challenge is, drumroll please, Gregory.
Yo.
Gregory, you have now going to the Wall of Fame for faithful assessments, and you have won a $100 gift card to Barnes & Noble.
You said 1,000?
I said 100. Okay, thank you for playing on the Faithful Assessment Challenge.
If you are listening to this Faithful Assessments podcast episode and you have not read This Is My America, I definitely will rate This Is My America 5 out of 5 stars. Not only did Kim Johnson create an amazing social justice workbook that helps us understand social justices and learn from them and tools that we can use and improve, and it also blends the social justice awareness with both a love story and a mystery. 2 stories and genres that I love so dearly. So This Is My America is very engaging and it's a great read. I would definitely recommend, and I hope you like this podcast episode, and I hope that you will learn from it and go purchase This Is My America by Kim Johnson if you haven't read it. So to wrap up this conversation, let's hear from a few viewers about what This Is My America means to them.
This Is My America is an excellent book to bring awareness to social justice issues currently happening in our country. I am glad that there are more books now bringing awareness to the unjust and corrupt systems.
Hello, it's Shelbie, and I would give This Is My America a 10 out of 10, really, because it's a great book that addresses racism, social injustice, mass incarceration, and it's just an overall great perspective. And Kim Johnson did a wonderful job of writing it from a teenager's point of view, not only a teenager, but a teenage girl's point of view. And she just did a great job writing the book, and I highly recommend it to others. They should definitely read it.
This Is My America by Kim Johnson promotes awareness of unjust systems and the stereotypes and biases of many in our world. I believe more people should read this novel to gain an understanding of how microaggressions and wrong incarceration negatively affect our society and the people and families of people erroneously and unjustly treated.
The book, This Is My America, has really influenced my point of view and perspective on African Americans in the justice system and communities as a whole. It really gave me insight as to how families of the wrongly accused or wrongly incarcerated deal with the problem on their side of things. And it really just tells me more about an experience that I'm not able to experience myself.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Faithful Assessments podcast. Don't forget to rate and review, and you can send a message to anything Life with Faith related. And if you would like to see more, please tell us what you like. I hope you enjoyed this and will join us again for a new video of Life with Faith and Faithful Assessments podcast.